You're listening to the Evolving Truths podcast, featuring mother-daughter hosts Shannon Day and Alexis Ray, where honest and vulnerable conversations about personal growth create a connection between all of us. You're invited to experience the transformation that occurs when we allow the truth of who we are to evolve.
Hello, you beautiful heart and soul. Welcome back to the Evolving Truths podcast. My name is Alexis Ray, and with me, as always, is my mama, Shannon Day. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Alexis.
How are you doing, girl?
Good. I'm good. Do you want to see something? I'm a little bit concerned that I might have a problem. Either I've jumped into big girl world or this is an issue. I'm unsure which, but look at you see it?
She's holding up another venti white chocolate mocha from Starbucks. So you're saying that this is like becoming a thing?
Yes, Lexus. And I used to just do grande, and then I felt like in two sips it was gone, maybe two gulps. And so then now this is like my third time, I think, this week getting a venti. And one, that is a freaking expensive habit. And two, like, yeah, I just don't know if this is a good thing. So it's not something I really want to tackle at the moment. But yeah, so I'm good. This drink is delish. I have a friend getting ready to come over for breakfast after we're done chatting, and we're going to try this new recipe. We take the little like Pillsbury cinnamon rolls. Well, first you cook some bacon, and the bacon's all cooked. And then you take those cinnamon rolls. They're sold in packs of 7 in my house anyway. I know some of you might believe they're sold in packs of 8 when you get it that way from the store, but I always eat one before cooking it. So anyway, 7, and then you roll it out flat, and then you roll the sausage up in the cinnamon roll, and then you bake it. I am so excited for this.
You roll the bacon up in the cinnamon roll?
Oh, not the bacon, the sausage.
Oh, okay. So you make sausage instead of bacon, and then you put the sausage inside the cinnamon roll. And I bet that's kind of like sweet and savory.
Right?
So you've
Yeah.
never done it before, or you have?
No, never done it. First time. Of course, we're also going to have potatoes and eggs.
I really like the sound of this, and knowing that you're going to be in Arizona next weekend, depending on how this recipe goes, I feel like we should, keep it on the table for when you're here.
Yeah. And then we can investigate if in Arizona cinnamon rolls come in packs of 7 or 8.
I'd be willing to bet if you're in the house, they come in packs of 7. Actually, me too, though, because I get that
So
from
packs
you.
of 6.
We're dough eaters.
So in Arizona, packs of 6.
No, girl, you can't share your one
Yes,
dough?
that's what I'm saying. They sell them. Oh, no, eat your own. But you can share yours with me. So if you would like me to share like yours, I'm totally willing to do that.
Okay, I'm picking up what you're putting down. We can sort this out next weekend in detail.
Sounds good. How are you?
Well, that sounds like a lovely breakfast. I'm doing well, actually. I had a very nice morning, kind of slow morning getting ready. And today I get to go get my little nails done. And then I have a craniosacral appointment. And that's one of my favorite treatments because I just get to lay there and rest. And like sometimes he'll have me do some testing before just to measure progress and how my brain is doing. Basically, there's a couple of different ways that he tests those things. But then I'm going to take a nap, and then I'm going to come home and go to the pool, and that just sounds so good. I mean, I still have so many things to do, but I am looking forward to hanging out at the pool.
I like that too. I was talking with one of my coworkers yesterday, and he said, "Oh, it looks like you're getting ready to be in Arizona." And I said, "Yes." And I said, "With the exception of days that I am facilitating trainings, I will be working poolside. I am so looking forward to it."
Yeah, girl, we're in our like best 8 weeks of the year here.
Yay.
I like it. But outside of that, I mean, the thing that I've really been focusing on the last couple of weeks is getting back into my body. And part of that has been to start meditating and walking and spending more time in nature again, reading. So I picked up the book A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson, which we talked so much about in our very first season, 2022. I know I've been dropping a couple of hints around it the last few episodes, just in conversation again. And I want to bring this book up because it's going to kind of connect. So stick with me here. But A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson is a book on miracles. And from her perspective, from her studies, there's actually another course called the Course of Miracles or the Course on Miracles, something like that. Within the book, A Return to Love, there's quite a bit of Christian language, like religious based language. And Marianne Williamson gives the definitions of each one of these terms from the perspective of the Course on Miracles, which is a little bit different than the traditional church definitions. Now, the reason this is significant, and Mom, you and I have talked a little bit about it on the podcast, but we haven't brought it necessarily to the forefront, is that personally, I think you and I both can say that we have a little resistance or maybe some friction when it comes to some of those terms because of our past religious experiences. One of my girlfriends calls it church hurt. I kind of like that
Oh,
phrase.
I like that. Church hurt.
Yeah. So when I first picked up this book in 2022, it actually took me a while to work through that. And as I was reading the book, I would actually like write in the book universe in place of God. And then I discovered the term like good orderly direction and that kind of being the acronym for God. And I've done a lot of work to unpack these things. So I'm reading this book again. I'm starting to meditate, just being present in my body. And I started a new meditation this week. So here's where we're going. I am curious to know if the term creator, because that was a term that existed in our religious experiences quite a bit. And I don't know that it's really a term that I hear very often outside really ever, I guess I should say. It's not, I don't feel like it's a term that I come across as easily as I do with like God, Holy Spirit, Jesus. I mean, now I don't even know the other ones, but the term specifically creator, I am curious to know, Mom, if that resonates for you as well as kind of like a little bit of a trigger.
Yeah, that's not a word that I think I've thought about. And I agree with you. It's not something that comes up like God or miracles. So,
Or even blessings.
yeah, but being raised the way we were, and many religions do teach that God was the creator, that they created the universe. We know there's two different beliefs about that. Or actually, I shouldn't say two. There's probably a handful. The spectrum is the earth was created by a God and they have this purpose for man. Some believe in evolution and that God doesn't exist. So there is no creator, that it all just happened. Some believe that God used evolution to do that. And of all the, I guess my long answer to your question, why I'm saying this is because that's something that I have not really landed on. I feel like things and the way that they work in the universe, there had to be some power behind that to make that happen. And so this thought of Big Bang Theory and it just happening, yet I have these discussions with my bestie and she's like, so my thought that they just happened and there isn't a creator, and you're like, how are these two beliefs really that different, right? Like, why does one sound more far-fetched than another? So I think I would probably also, and in this meditation that you're doing, how it's being framed or how the term is being used, I don't know. So I guess depending on the context around that term creator might determine if I have as visceral reaction to it as I do some of the other terms that we discuss. How is it showing up for you?
Yeah, I actually haven't had it too hard of a time with it as it's been coming up just in these couple of meditations that I've done in the last couple of days. But it definitely was enough to cause a twinge. Like, okay, because I do believe that there is an energy of the universe. I do believe in a collective consciousness. I do believe that there's an energy and a power and vibrations. Like, I believe in all of that. I also believe in the quantum field, which is how the universe, physically turns the matter that we imagine and vibrate at into the actual manifestations in our life. I was going to say blessings, and I was like, okay, hold off on that second, because I know that's going to
Hashtag
be
blessed.
the second part of this conversation. But
Yeah.
I do believe in all of that. And I do believe that we have this internal connection through our intuition to the power of the universe. Like, I think that that lives in all of us. And so in these meditations, it's really been turning your energy and your awareness inside and guiding you to connect to that power of the universe, which in this phrasing, she calls it the creator. Like, you're connecting to the creator, you're connecting to the energy of the creator. And so I've been loving these meditations. Literally, I've done them like 3 days in a row. Today, I skipped it this morning because I decided to stay in bed, which was very lovely on a Saturday morning, but I will get back to it tomorrow. And it was enough for me to be like, oh, this could be something that would trip me up, or it could be a moment that I could feel myself choosing to shut down because of that word. And I think because of the work I have done and the recognition of like understanding how the context is being used and what it means to me, I was able to go through that. Now, there are many instances when this stuff comes up and it's like, oh, what is this trying to teach me right now? Like, oh, this feels uncomfortable. This feels icky. This feels sticky, or I'm not sure. It's not flowing as easily as I am used to a conversation going. Those are huge indicators for us to take a pause, to ask ourselves, what's coming up here? What is this? Why am I thinking this way? What am I feeling from this? What is this drawing on? And giving us a chance to really reflect.
Yes. I'm sitting here reflecting on what you're saying. And I was thinking, okay, if I was doing a meditation like that, how would that sit with me if I first heard that? And I feel like I've done meditations where they do at times, like, reference something like that. And I, like you, have learned to reframe that or make that shift. And for me, also, I'll say sometimes it just really depends on where I'm at in life, maybe at that time, because there are definitely times when I hear that and I can reframe it and I can take the other things from it that would be beneficial to me. And then there are times that I hear it and it just hits me in a way that I'm like, nope. And know that I will get nothing else from either this meditation or this reading. I feel like one of the times when visiting you, I actually opened and started to look at A Return to Love and kind of reading through it. And for me, it was a hard pass. Nope. The Five Love Languages is another example, right? I got that book and started reading that book, and I was like, nope, hard pass for me here too. So I think it depends for myself on how it's being presented. Is it being presented in an open enough way that I can make a shift or hear what else that they're saying in this open space, the space that I'm in as I hear it? Am I able to make that shift to still see if there's some benefit to this? And then those times when, yeah, again, it is a hard pass for me. Anything that in any way, shape, or form is connected to organized religion is a hard stop for me.
Well, and I think that that's the line that we're really learning to walk as we heal church hurt. How can we allow ourselves to stay open? Because this meditation isn't organized religion based. A return to love isn't organized religion based. And I guess I don't remember you opening up the book and checking it out, but there is a portion in her introduction where she talks about language and how these terms can bring up resistance inside of us. She names it in the very beginning. Had I known you were going to be flipping through pages, I would have been like, read this specific paragraph so that you could be open to the book. And I get it, because when I first went looking for this book, it wasn't because I knew who she was. It wasn't because I was seeking any of this information. It was because I was trying to track down the author of the now quote unquote poem. Our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we're powerful beyond measure. I had that memory of like, man, I really love that. It resonated with me. I'm like, who wrote that? So then I went and tracked down this book. And that's really how I came to find it. I didn't know that it was going to be so heavy in the Christian based language. Now, when we can say or zoom out that there can be terms used not in the context of organized religion, then can we still take something out of that message? Or is it just us closing the doors because our hearts can't, handle that anymore?
I have a good friend who I learned this from her years ago, who talks about us being in a both and world. It was funny because earlier this week, speaking of my graduation to Venti white chocolate mochas, I took a picture of it and I sent it to a couple of friends. And I was like, so I've either graduated or I have a problem. And she responded with, we live in a both and world. So, yes, I've graduated, and maybe I need to think about this. Do I have a problem? And I think that's the same here with these terms and being able to, for myself, I'm going to use this terminology, say check myself. Like I need to be willing to take that pause, as you talked about earlier, when I do have that initial kind of reaction or just want to shut something off, take that moment, that power in the pause, to maybe analyze, even if just briefly, why is this coming up for me? Can I do a quick reframe and then see what I can get from this? And I would say I'm going to own here and say that's something I should work on. I think I should work on that perhaps because I am very resistant to it and have done work around it. And maybe this is highlighting a space where I could do a little bit more work because maybe I am missing some things that I would really enjoy or could take some meaning from that could have an impact in my life because I immediately jump to that space and don't even provide myself an opportunity to reframe it and shift my thinking to see if there's something I could get from it. And if it is being pushed at me or shoved in a way that does not also come with that openness, then I'm going to go back to hard pass. Power in the pause. I'm going to go with power in the pass.
I like that. Both and there's room for both of that. I respect the fact that you're like, maybe this could be something that I lean into a little bit more. It's definitely something that I still continue to explore because we come across these terms and these ideologies and ways of living because they are integrated into our society. They're integrated into our lives. They're integrated really into every aspect of how our world is built, really. And I guess kind of roundabout, let me say this as well. You were mentioning earlier about the concept of did we come from a big bang? Did we evolve? Did we go through these things? I don't know that there's any definite way for us to have an answer to that. Science might say differently. I also still
Science says differently and religion says differently.
Of course. And there's probably a truth somewhere in the middle, right? Even when we talked about perspective in our last couple of episodes, it's like one person's perspective, another person's perspective, and then there's the truth somewhere in there, right? I can't even like fathom that there's been so many other civilizations on this earth, like the Egyptians and everything that they figured out, the Mayans and the Incas and the Roman Empire, like all of that, I have such a hard time truthfully conceptualizing because it maybe it's because we came from the religious background where it was like this is when the world started, this is how we got here. Like there wasn't really a ton of understanding or room for different civilizations like that. So the whole concept of us as beings for me is very complicated and complex, and I'm not sure that I grasp any of it. And the reason I'm sharing this is just because I really admire the fact that you're open to leaning in. And I think it's a big deal to be able to name for myself, like, human history is weird to me, and maybe that's something I can keep leaning into as well.
Dinosaurs.
I know. It's like we know they're real, right? Or at least we have the proof of bones that tell us that they're real to some extent. And yeah, it's the whole thing. Us being here is very strange.
Yeah.
Well, Mom, I really appreciate you letting me bring this topic to you today and to the fam bam. If this is something that feels uncomfortable, I just really want to encourage you to safely, in whatever way is right for you, to sit with it or ponder it and leave space that if that's not something that's right for you, then don't. And go ahead and keep those protections, that armor on that you need to in whatever way, because it's there for a reason. You've been through whatever you've been through, and getting to this point is only there if you decide to take that step.
And if it does feel comfortable to you and how the word resonates with you and it gives purpose to your life and strength for you, then also lean into that. Again, it's a both and. Like so however it is that it fits in your world. I think one of the biggest things in these last few years, especially, that I am recognizing and learning, and perhaps this can be something we discuss in the future, is that being raised the way that we were, me being raised that way and then starting to raise you that way, we weren't given space to think critically about things. Critical thinking is still a challenge for me and a skill that I would like to develop even more. So, however, this is showing up for you, maybe take a pause and think about it critically.
Yeah, taking the time to like ask ourselves, why is this showing up? Why am I thinking this? Where did this original thought or programming come from? What emotions and feelings do I have tied to it and related to it? And then being like, okay, is this the thought I actually want to keep? Is this the belief I actually have? Yes or no. If it's a no, what do I believe? What do I want to explore? What information do I need to gather so that I can formulate something that is my own thought and opinion?
Wrapped up nicely like a little sausage in a cinnamon roll.
Totally. And I think that there's a grieving process or a recognition process that we go through when we're unpacking some of these deep learned early childhood beliefs. Like, I completely agree with you. It was probably 2021 when I realized how much I didn't have critical thinking in my life. And there was a whole 3 months. It happened really coincidingly with the car accident, which was crazy because I was just sitting at home with a migraine, not feeling good, with this pain down the middle of my face, and also contemplating the fact that I feel like a lot of my programming and behaviors and stuff stem from this religious background that I was raised with. And it's not even a thought, it's just true. I mean, we were a part of that organization until I was about 10 years old actively, and those are my formative years. Like, that is my programming. And so unpacking that is a process. And here we are now, it's 2024, so 3 years later, and I'm still working on it, right? I'm still
Mhm.
having these things come up. So it is a journey, whether you're recognizing it because of a church hurt, or whether you're leaning into it and exploring it because you love church and you love belief and you love faith and you love what that brings to you. I'm not sure. As Mom has said, there's room for both. And regardless of what side of the spectrum you're on, I think it's powerful to be able to say, what does this belief mean to me? And why is it here? And is it something that is my own?
Love that. Take those questions with you this week. Ponder them for yourself. Share this episode with someone that you think this would be an interesting conversation to have with, or just start the conversation on your own. Let us know what you think about it. Let us know what kind of conversations you have.
If Mom and I are totally your cup of tea, please leave a 5-star rating and review on whatever platform you are listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show where you are listening as well. And we will be back next week. Until then, please remember,
Life is beautiful and you create the magic.
have a good one.
Connect with Shannon and Alexis in the Evolving Truths community by visiting evolvingtruthspodcast.com. Links are in the show notes. The Evolving Truths podcast is produced by Shannon Day and Alexis Ray, recorded from the Corner Studio in conjunction with Alexis Ray Enterprises, LLC.